In Washington, the US on Tuesday supported India's stand opposing the China-Pakistan economic corridor, saying it is a pass through a disputed territory. The Trump administration added that no country should put itself into the position of dictating the Belt and Road Initiative. India skipped the Belt and Road Forum in May this year due to its sovereignty concern over the nearly USD of $16 billion called the CPEC, a flagship project of China's prestigious One Belt One Road initiative, which passes through the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, or the POK. Having returned from his maiden trip to India last week, he met his counterpart Nirmala Sitharaman and the Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi. The US Defense Secretary Jim Mattis on Tuesday appeared to be a strong opponent of China's ambitious OBOR initiative. In a globalized world, there are many belts and many roads, and no nation should be put into itself the position of dictating one belt one road, said Mattis when told members of the Senate Armed Service Committees during the congressional hearing. That said, the One Belt One Road also goes through the disputed territory, and I think that in itself shows the vulnerability of trying to establish that sort of dictate, Mattis said, apparently referring to India's position on the CPEC. Mattis was responding to a question from Senator Charles Peters over OBOR and the China's policies in this regard. The Belt and Road Initiative strategy seeks to secure China's control over both the continental and the maritime interests in their eventual hope of dominating Eurasia and exploiting natural resources there, the things that are certainly at odds with the US policies. So what role do you think to see the China playing in Afghanistan, particularly related to their One Belt One Road initiative?
It is indeed a privilege to receive Secretary Mattis in Delhi. I extend a warm welcome to him on his first visit to India, Secretary of Defense. He is a special visitor for me, as he is the first ministerial counterpart I have met since taking over my responsibility as Defense Minister of India. We have just concluded a very substantive, constructive, forward-looking talks. I thank Secretary Mattis for generously sharing his deep knowledge and wisdom of defense matters. I am confident that his knowledge and experience will contribute to further deepening defense and security cooperation between India and the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, India and the United States share a strong and vibrant strategic partnership. As the world's largest democracies, we also share fundamental values and interests. Defense cooperation between India and the United States has grown significantly in recent years and emerged as a key pillar of our strategic partnership. Our military-to-military engagements continue to grow. We recently concluded the trilateral Malabar naval exercise in the Bay of Bengal along with Japan. This edition of Malabar demonstrated the progress made in operational synergies between our navies. As we speak, our armies are conducting their exercise Yudh Abhyas in the United States. In our talks today, we agreed to explore additional and specialized exercises. Cooperation in defense equipment has grown steadily over the past years. The US is now a leading supplier of state-of-the-art defense equipment to India. I appreciated Secretary Mattis's willingness to share further cutting-edge platforms which would enhance India's defense preparedness to meet current and emerging threats. Secretary Mattis and I agreed that we need to expand on the progress already made by encouraging co-production and co-development efforts. I reiterated India's deep interest in enhancing defense manufacturing in India under Prime Minister Modi's Make in India initiative. I thank Secretary Mattis for his supportive position in this regard and look forward to working closely with him to realize joint projects. In this context, we agreed that the full implementation of the understanding reached following the announcement by the US last year recognizing India as a major defense partner will provide further energy and momentum to our collaboration on defense technology and manufacturing. We also discussed how to refocus and re-energize the Defense Technology and Trade Initiative, the DTTI, as a mechanism to promote technology sharing, as well as co-development and co-production efforts. We also exchanged views on regional and international issues of mutual interest. The situation in our neighborhood and the growing menace of cross-border terrorism were discussed in depth. There is growing convergence in the approaches of both our countries on this issue. We both recognize the importance of holding those who use terrorism as an instrument of state policy to account and to dismantle the infrastructure that supports terrorism. As you are aware, India welcomed President Trump's new US strategy for Afghanistan announced last month. Today, I had useful discussions with Secretary Mattis on how we could strengthen our cooperation bilaterally as well as with the government of Afghanistan in pursuit of our common objective of a peaceful, democratic, stable and prosperous Afghanistan. We also discussed the issues relating to maritime security in the Indian Ocean and the broader Asia-Pacific region as well as regional connectivity issues. I'll read that again. We also discussed the issues relating to maritime security in the Indian Ocean and the broader Asia-Pacific region as well as regional connectivity issues. India supports the freedom of navigation, overflight and unimpeded lawful commerce. We also believe that disputes should be resolved through peaceful means and in accordance with the universally recognized principles of international law. I am happy to note that Secretary Mattis reaffirmed the US position in support of these principles. I also welcome his reiteration of the US commitment to work with India in ensuring maritime security in the Indo-Pacific as first responder to HADR situations. From our discussions today, I am confident that we are entering a new phase in our strategic defense partnership with the United States. I once again thank Secretary Mattis for visiting India. I also thank him for inviting me to visit the United States to carry forward our discussions. I now invite Secretary Mattis to deliver his remarks.
Well, thank you for hosting me during my first trip to India as the Secretary of Defense, and please accept my congratulations on your recent appointment as India's Minister of Defense. I believe that India is very well served with such a dynamic, dedicated, and experienced public servant. This year marks the 70th anniversary of modern India's independence, and the United States is proud to salute the world's largest democracy. We meet at a very good time, Madam Minister. As President Trump stated during his June meeting with Prime Minister Modi, the relationship between India and the United States has never been stronger. As two great democracies, India and the United States are natural strategic partners who share common values and common interests. We have a historic opportunity today to set a refreshed partnership between our nations, one that is built on respect, trust, and shared values of democracy, freedom of expression, and human dignity. Our common vision aims to support an open, just, and rules-based global order. A peaceful and prosperous future in the Indo-Pacific region is based on a strong rules-based international order and a shared commitment to international law, to peaceful resolution of disputes and respect for territorial integrity. U.S.-India defense cooperation has steadily expanded in recent years, underpinned by a strategic convergence between our two countries based on common objectives and goals in the region. This cooperation will benefit both economies while reducing legacy trust issues between our two democracies. The United States designation of India as a major defense partner reflects the progress made in strengthening our cooperation. This designation recognizes India as a pillar of regional stability and security, and it reflects our desire for a long-term strategic partnership in the 21st century. My goal on this trip is to promote pragmatic progress between us in our defense partnership, delivering defense interoperability aligned with priority and President Trump's direction. In the wide-ranging new relationship between our nations, security is one of the key strategic pillars. As we work to strengthen our defense relationship, we seek to expand our cooperation in building partnerships also across the region. In particular, we applaud India's invaluable contributions to Afghanistan and welcome further efforts to promote Afghanistan's democracy, stability, and security. Our two countries recognize the threat that global terrorism poses to people throughout the world. There can be no tolerance of terrorist safe havens. As global leaders, India and the United States resolve to work together to eradicate this scourge. In broad-ranging initiatives, we value India's leadership across the Indo-Pacific and beyond. India has a vital role to play in supporting Southeast Asia's regional institutions, particularly in ASEAN, and in building partner capacity across the region. We appreciate India's stabilizing leadership in the Indian Ocean and seek to work together to build a resilient regional architecture with a foundation both our nations respect, that of a rules-based order. We also appreciate India's efforts, along with those of the United Nations and the broader international community, to increase pressure against North Korea over its dangerous and destabilizing behavior. In addition to our growing global cooperation, the Minister and I reaffirmed our commitment to deepen bilateral defense cooperation, in particular expanding maritime engagement as one of our top priorities. Our annual maritime security dialogue is an important mechanism to develop a shared understanding of the challenges we face and the opportunities for cooperation in addressing them. The U.S.-India Malabar naval exercise that the Minister mentioned is one with Japan and an example of our deepening shared trust and operational cooperation. I look forward to opportunities to increase our engagement based on shared maritime objectives and to explore new exercises as well. We also discussed ways to further deepen the robust defense, trade, and technology collaboration between our defense industries, and we look forward to sharing some of our most advanced defense technologies through the Defense Technology and Trade Initiative, or DTTI. Cooperation in this area will improve the capabilities of both our militaries and reinforce the foundation for an enduring partnership. I look forward, alongside Secretary of State Tillerson, to convening the inaugural 2+2 dialogue in the near future between our foreign and defense ministers. Steady engagement will be our watchwords for the path ahead. Let me close by reiterating the importance of the United States places on building a vibrant defense partnership with India. This is, again, a historic opportunity for our two democracies, a time of strategic convergence. As India takes its rightful place at the global table, India will find the United States to be a steadfast friend and partner. Thank you.
Take first question from Mr. One question, please.
Second question, my name is Sandeep Bhatta from News 18. We have heard President Donald Trump highlighting the South Asia policy and highlighting the zero tolerance against the safe haven with sanctuary terrorism. How do you see the role of India in this strategic convergence and increasing role in Afghanistan's safety, security, and stability of the democracy? And also, India will soon be observing the 1 year of the surgical strike, do we see the endorsement and support of United States against any such cross-border action against the terrorist safe havens and launch pads? And to Raksha Mantri, Prime Minister Narendra Modi always highlights eliminating the terrorists and the countries and organizations who support terrorism and the safe havens of terrorism. Aid to countries like Pakistan who support aid and abet terrorism is a cause of concern for the global community. Did you raise this issue with Secretary Mattis, and what assurance did you get on the cut-down of the U.S. military aid to Pakistan?
Well, on the role of India in counterterrorism, India has suffered grievous losses. The United States has suffered losses to terrorism. Many nations around the world have suffered losses to terrorism. And I believe one aspect of this that is universally shared by all responsible nations in the world is that there can be no safe havens anywhere for terrorists. We intend to work closely with India, collaborating with India and like-minded nations. And in the Indo-Pacific region, obviously India is one of the leaders that we intend to align with as we eradicate this, as I mentioned in my prepared remarks. But I think also that as we look at terrorism and what is going on in the world today, we see an increasing number of nations that are willing to put their troops in the field, to put their police departments working together. And we just see overall a stronger level of collaboration in this regard. And I believe in the long run that we are going to put terrorism on its back foot, but it's going to be a lot of work, and it's going to require a high degree of teamwork by all nations. And I think that's coming into focus.
Issue. And in fact, I must, before getting into details, thank the Secretary for mentioning more than once that the United States sees India as a stabilizing influence in this region, and also sees that India not just confined to the region but has a role to play in the global situation as working together with the US in controlling and containing terrorism, and also be able to work together with the United States in order that globally countries do recognize that neither to terrorism nor through coercive or unilateral action, no country should be in a position to change the global rules-based order or threaten any existing status quo. On the specific issue of whether I've raised the issue of terrorists being given safe haven in Pakistan, I recalled, in fact I borrowed the words of Secretary Mattis in saying that he had, when he was interacting with our Prime Minister, stated very clearly that the very same forces which find a safe haven in Pakistan have been the ones who hit at New York as much as Mumbai. People of that region and also assets belonging to both the US and India in those two attacks stand out as examples of how such terrorist attacks have hurt democracies both in the USA and in India. And therefore my request, which was received by Secretary Mattis, was that if at all, and if and when he would visit Pakistan, he would be able to speak out on these issues and take up this issue.
Thank you, ma'am. Now from the gentleman from Wall Street Journal.
Sir, quick question for you. A real risk. How do you avoid that at this point, and how do you de-escalate to the point of where diplomacy
Denuclearize the Korean Peninsula is one that has been diplomatically led and with a increased emphasis here as the DPRK, as North Korea's provocations have become more pronounced. We continue to maintain the diplomatically led effort in the United Nations. You have seen unanimous United Nations Security Council resolutions passed that have increased the pressure, economic pressure and diplomatic pressure on the North. At the same time, we maintain the capability to deter North Korea's most dangerous threats, but also to back up our diplomats in a manner that keeps this as long as possible in the diplomatic realm, this effort in the diplomatic realm. And that is our goal, to solve this diplomatically. And I believe that President Trump has been very clear on this issue.
Thank you. What is India's contribution to Afghanistan? May I remind you that India's contribution to Afghanistan has been for a very long time and has been consistently on developmental issues. We've built dams, we've built hospitals, we shall continue doing all of them. Dams, hospitals, schools, any institutions which Afghanistan may require, we shall continue supporting them on them. And we're also at the moment providing training in the name of good governance for their officials, and also for their administrators. Those trainings will continue, so that engagement will also be positively enhanced if necessary. Medical assistance is also provided by India. We give them the facilities in our hospitals, both for those wounded in the hospital and those in the fields, or even for civilians who need medical assistance. Those assistance for medical help will also continue. So India's contribution has been on these grounds, and we shall expand if necessary. However, of course, we've made it very clear that there shall not be boots from India on the ground. Thank you, ma'am.
Post your comments below, and if you like this video, please give a thumbs up and follow us on social networks and subscribe to our channel. And thanks for watching. This is WEC Daily. Think big, think different. Bye.